Coming into the college football season, the number 3 quarterback in the 2024 NFL Draft was completely up for grabs. There were a lot of players generating hype coming into the offseason. However, players like Michael Penix Jr., Bo Nix, and J.J. McCarthy have stepped up in big ways to make a strong case for the 3rd quarterback in the 2024 NFL Draft. But coming into the season, Tennessee quarterback Joe Milton had generated a ton of buzz as a guy who, playing in the Josh Heupel system, could really push for a potential first-round selection. But so far, he has been probably my biggest faller in the 2024 draft on my big board, and I will explain what it is I like, but more importantly, his major concerns that I believe will hinder his draft stock this coming May. But hey guys, before I get haters in my comment section, I want you guys to know, I'm actually a Tennessee Vols fan, and this season has been incredibly disappointing early on. I'm just being honest with what I see. If you guys do enjoy this video, consider hitting that like button, subscribe if you are new, and without further ado, let's get into it. Joe Milton originally started his collegiate career at the University of Michigan. He got the opportunity to start in 2020, but was very underwhelming and was eventually benched. After a disappointing tenure with the Wolverines, Milton decided to transfer to Tennessee in 2021. He would back up Hendon Hooker, who went on to be a Heisman candidate, but after his ACL injury last year, Joe Milton would be given the opportunity to start. He finished the year with 971 yards, 10 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and ran for another 77 yards as he led Tennessee to win the Orange Bowl, which was probably his best college game to date. As a full-time starter so far in 2023, Milton hasn't had quite the season we were expecting. He has 1,535 yards, 12 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and 232 rushing yards around halfway through the college football season. Right off the bat, Joe Milton has the greatest arm I have ever seen, bar none. The throws he can make are absolutely unbelievable. With the flick of his wrist, Milton seems to be able to throw the ball all over the field. He has a natural throwing motion and it comes off so effortless for him. He can make throws at the short and medium levels well, but his deep ball is something to behold. I'm convinced he could throw the ball 100 yards easily. It's pretty remarkable the arm strength he has, and I think it's the greatest arm I have ever seen in my entire life. Milton is also a very good athlete. He has the ability to make plays with his legs, he can run the ball well, has power, speed, and that is something you love to see. Athletically, with his arm strength and running ability, he has some of the highest upside of anyone in the 2024 NFL Draft. Milton also has the ideal size at the quarterback position. He is tall, standing at 6'5", weighing at 235 pounds, and he possesses the ideal size profile that you look for in a starting quarterback at the NFL level. Athletically and traits-wise, Joe Milton checks all the boxes. Unfortunately, when it comes to pros, however, that's really all there are. There are a lot of concerns with Joe Milton's game that I worry about for him at the NFL level. For one, as I mentioned, Milton has one of the greatest arms ever, as I mentioned, but his accuracy is very, very concerning. He has a horrible tendency to overthrow his receivers, underthrow his receivers, and he just is not able to be consistent at hitting his receivers in motion. He has a 62.8% completion, which is okay, but I think a lot of that has to be due to the offense. Milton plays in a very quarterback-friendly, non-pro style offense. The wide receivers are very far spread out, it's a lot of screen passes and slants, and the style is very favorable for the quarterback. Milton's completion percentage, I feel, is largely due to the offense he plays in. When he is asked to push the ball down the field, he just cannot consistently hit his man, and it is extremely concerning for me. Milton also has some of the worst footwork I have ever seen from any quarterback. He is a mannequin in the pocket. He stands stiff, doesn't feel pressure or step up, and is extremely flat-footed, which is something I really hate to see. He's also an older quarterback prospect, coming in at 23 years old currently, and he's older. And if he hasn't learned some of the more technical aspects like improving his accuracy, his footwork, this old into his career, I worry that it may be too late for him. Lastly, Milton is a guy who stares down his receivers. He knows where he wants to go with the ball before the snap, and he doesn't go through all of his progressions, which is another area that I really worry about for him at the NFL level. Milton was a guy who I had extremely high hopes for in 2023, but it has not been pretty for him, and he has fallen down my board drastically. Milton went from my quarterback 3 in the class. I bought the hype, I sipped the Kool-Aid, I thought he was going to be a really, really good player, and he is now my QB 13. It has been extremely disappointing, and a lot of players behind him have answered the call and stepped up in big ways. It's a loaded quarterback class, and Joe Milton is my number 90 overall player in the class. Joe Milton would work best in a spread offense or an air raid offense, something similar to how he plays at Tennessee, the closest thing you can possibly get, something that allows him to use his arm and showcase his arm talent on full display. Something that spreads his receivers and short passes in the slant game or deep crossers. I think that's going to be the best system for Joe Milton to fall into. The only player athletically close to Joe Milton is Anthony Richardson. I think Richardson is the better player, but Milton has an elite arm, speed, power, and size that are all very close to that of which Anthony Richardson had in the 2022 draft. They also have similar concerns in terms of accuracy concerns, so I think Joe Milton's like the Walmart version of Anthony Richardson. I don't think he's going to be as good, but I could see a lot of similarities in the two's game. Joe Milton has a bazooka for an arm, and he's a good runner, but accuracy, age, and lack of development I think is going to cause him to drop in the draft. At the end of the day, I believe Joe Milton will be a 4th round selection in the 2024 NFL Draft.